Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel WSO2 Bytes. I hope you guys are enjoying my tutorials. So feel free to share your valuable feedback, and if you have any query, feel free to post them via in comment section. Okay, so far we have seen about rate limiting concepts via application level and subscription level in WSO2 API Manager. Today we will see about an interesting concept, that is unauthenticated tier. Okay, so let's start. Here is the quick agenda for today's session. We will see about what is an unauthenticated tier, how to use this tier, what is the default quota available in this tier, some of the use cases, and finally a demo. Okay, so what is an unauthenticated tier? An unauthenticated tier in WSO2 API Manager allows the APIs to be exposed without requiring authentication. As its name implies, unauthenticated, it doesn't require authentication. So by this way, it's making the API's accessibility to everyone without the need for the tokens or credentials. Okay, so the question arises, how does it work? So let's say you have a backend service and you would like to expose to a third-party system via API gateway with some sort of security. Here the security doesn't refers to the credentials part. Security here we are referring to the rate limiting kind of a stuff. So in this particular use case, request made to APIs under this tier, which is unauthenticated, doesn't require any kind of a security, which is access token, basic auth, or an API key. And the analytics data in this approach will be collected per API basis, not on application basis, because we use the credentials to generate the access token, and those credentials, which is consumer key and consumer secret, are linked with a particular application. So if we don't have an application, if we are not using a particular key or the security, then we cannot track which application it linked to this particular API. Okay, so the question comes, how to use this tier? So the answer is very simple, that once we log into the publisher portal, as you can see, we go to the particular API, we open the particular resource, and under that particular resource, for in this example you can see we have a /menu resource, and under this menu resource we have security, which is toggled. Okay, so you can see that if we need to disable the security, we just need to untoggle, means we just need to toggle or the switch, whatever you can say, we can do to achieve the same, and we just need to save and deploy. That's it. This is the only requirement to enable the unauthenticated tier on that particular API resource. Kindly note that this tier is applied on per resource basis. So there can be a scenario, one API, multiple resources, some requires unauthenticated, some required particular security. So this can be achieved through this approach. So what is the default quota available this tier, and is there any way we can change the same? The answer is yes. There is a default quota which is 500 requests per minute. So if we have enabled, or if we are using this particular tier which is disabling the security, by default 500 requests per minute quota is applied. So this is the rate limiting on that particular resource. So we are securing somehow our API proxy or our backend service via this particular tier, which is having 500 requests per minute. Definitely it's an administration task to change the value as per your requirement. So we need to log in to the admin portal, go to the subscription policies under rate limiting policy section, and just see this unauthenticated tier which is available, having the request count 500 and it's per minute basis. We just need to edit and increase the value which suits to your requirement and the use case. So what are the use cases? We'll see some of the common use cases. Obviously there can be many more, but here we will talk about most common use cases for this tier usage. Public APIs, that is public information like weather, stock data, or the news feeds information that can be shared without security constraints. In that particular use case we can use this tier. API prototyping, that is there are certain APIs that are in development stages or a demo environment that need to be accessed quickly without configuring the security for our external consumer. Open data services, there are government and organization data that are meant for the public users. For example, open data portals. Campaignings, there are certain scenarios when an organization is promoting their product, so they are doing the campaigning via their web platforms, but they can also make the same available via REST APIs. So without requiring the security, it doesn't require the security, but yes, there is a rate limit on that. We can configure it as per our requirement. So in this particular scenario as well, we can use this unauthenticated tier for API consumption, which is comes under the no security on API. And now we'll see a demo to how this tier is enabled, how the API works without security, and how to change the values. Okay, let's move on. So we are starting the demo now. So we'll be continuing with this pizza site 01 API. So as you can see, in current scenario, we have if we go to the particular resources section, and I have disabled the security on this particular API. Okay, so once I have disabled the security, ideally it doesn't ask about the credentials. Okay, and we have this endpoint which is internal. Let's see the deployment. It is on a new revision. Okay, so we'll go to test this API. Okay, so let's open the Postman. So we are opening the Postman. We'll go to the get menu resource. Earlier in the previous demo, we have seen we have enabled this authorization. We have been generating the tokens and accessing the API. Now let's see whether the API is accessible without security. Okay, so the API is accessible without any sort of security. Now let's see the rate limiting which is available there. So quickly we'll open the admin portal, localhost 9443/admin. Okay, we go to the subscription tier. We have this unauthenticated tier. Okay, so you can see the 500 requests per minute, which is 501 per minute. Okay, so this is the out of the box capability provided by WSO2 itself. So now we are going with the same thing, and we'll doing a load testing on this particular API. So we go to the collection, we go to the run. Okay, we will be calling the get menu resource. Go to the performance tab, fixed, or let's say we do a ramp up, gradually increasing the load. We take the 50 virtual users, initial load of 10. Okay, let's say initial load of a 20. Okay, now run it. So you will see that API request will be going, but after some times the throttling will happen. Okay, so you can see the API request has kicked off, and the request are going now to the backend service. Okay, if we see the console log, we can also see the same thing is happening. I have enabled some logging, so that's why this kind of a log you can see it is continuously hitting the backend service. Okay, so we'll be keep waiting. So we have done a ramp up, so gradually it is increasing the load. So this capability has enabled the developers to do the load testing at their own site without requiring the additional layer of the effort to be required for the load testing. So you can see now the error has started coming. Okay, so I have enabled for that the 10 minutes testing. So on that particular window, so gradually it is per minute quota is 500. So initially it has gone 500, then since the load has been gradually increasing, so you can see this is coming as 429. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here. The purpose is to showcase you how does this throttling will happen. Okay, so initially the response was coming, average response 171 millisecond, but after some time it has come to top errors, which is HTTP 429 too many requests. Okay, so this way we have shown that how this throttling happens for this particular API. And Yes, so we have also seen that the Postman is able to call the API without any sort of security. So our backend is successfully called without the need of the token. Also, the rate limiting has been applied as a default tier of a 500. If you need to customize the value, we just need to navigate to the admin portal, go to the unauthenticated tier, which is 500. We can change the value to anyone. We can make to the 500, 5000, or any value which is required as per your environment. So that's all for this demo. So thank you very much for your time in checking out this video, and stay tuned for my upcoming tutorials on WSO2. Please do subscribe to my channel to show your support, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to get a notification of my upcoming videos. Please do share this channel with anyone looking for learning WSO2 with the structured contents.